Hey everyone, welcome to the stream. We have a few announcements before we're gonna get started with the lesson. First of all, let me just see who is here. Let me scroll up for a second, see who was here before I even came in. Welcome to Cheryl, Joe Turner, Ocean Discovery, Small. Who else is here? Bora Cool. Is it Bora Gull, like a seagull, or is it Bora Cool, like a ghoul? Or is it like supposed to be like Korean, like kur or something like that? Let's see who else is here. Yes. Oh, Gianna, welcome. Yeah, we have some of our other members too. Welcome everyone. We'll get started at 2 o'clock as usual. I always start about 15 minutes early to give announcements and to just say hi to everyone. So how are you all doing? If I miss your chat if I don't read everything out loud, just know I'm still scanning it. I might still see it even if I don't read it out loud. There's a lot of messages going up there, but I'll try to read all of them, at least the best of my abilities before we start. Yes, so we have a few announcements though while I'm just checking, watching everyone come in the chat here. Hold on, let me get some caffeine first. That's sour. Okay, as usual, there are worksheets for all of our live streams. You can get those on Patreon. There's also outlines. Every single time I teach, I have an outline that I wrote, and it takes a long time for me to write them. Actually, it takes me most of the entire day. Usually I write them on Thursdays. It takes me most of the whole day to write them, and I compile like good examples and get like a good explanation how I want to teach things in what order. And all of those are available to you if you are a member on Patreon. I saw last week we actually got a lot of new Patreon members, so that's great. And if you want to get those, all you have to do is join Patreon for at least $1. So if you don't have very much money, no problem. You can join for $1. If you are you're secretly Elon Musk, then you're free to donate as much as you like. But yeah, don't feel obligated to do any more than that. But for $1, you get access to all of the worksheets and all of the outlines for all of the lessons, at least all the ones that I've made worksheets for. There is a worksheet right now on Patreon for this lesson. I believe it's like 14 or something questions, translating from Korean and English. Practicing this form we're going to be using today. You can get that printed out and follow along with the lesson, or you can do it after the lesson finishes, or maybe you've already completed it and you're already intermediate level. Whatever you want, it's up to you. Also, another announcement is, actually I forgot, it's over here. We have some new merchandise. I like pinning this one. Hold on, okay. We have some new merchandise. One of them is some new t-shirts. This one actually my wife designed, so I kind of like pinning it. I like showing that off every week. Yeah, it's just one more way to support me. If you are looking for another way to support this channel, that is another option that you have. Also, let's see what other announcements we have. Oh yes, we have an active Discord server. I don't see my mods in here yet, so I'm just gonna share it here. If they're in here, sorry, I missed your name. I didn't see you yet. And yeah, we have a active Discord channel. There's also a link in the description of this video right now. It's completely free. It's active most of the time, pretty much 24/7. And there are people all around the world for practicing Korean. You can upload pictures of Korean food you've had. You can share your Korean lessons. You can make practice sentences. You can practice speaking with other learners. Learners? Why can't I say that? Learners. And you can also ask Korean questions that you have and just chat with me and other members in there. So it's always open. And again, there's a link in the description. There's also a link in the chat. Go ahead and join if you're interested, if you have a Discord channel. Other announcements, let's see. Oh yes, members. If you are a member of this channel, of which about 80 of you are, you can get access to watch all of these live streams early. So you don't have to wait until like Thursday to watch this abridged version. You can actually watch it. Let's check here. Okay. Sorry, I saw a message on there that wasn't approved. I just approved it. If you are a member, you get to watch the abridged versions tonight. So this lesson that I haven't even done yet, you can log on to my channel tonight and watch the abridged version, the shortened version for about 10 minutes. You can watch the whole lesson, get the best parts really quick. If you're not a member, you still get access to all of those for free, but you just have to wait a few more days after the live stream. Typically, it'll be Wednesday or Thursday. I think that's all of the announcements we have. Oh no, I do have one more announcement I have to make. This is very important. That is, today's class will probably be the last live stream class until August. So it's not going away. I've been doing this live stream now since summer, I think, of 2018. It's been over 2 years. That's all I know. It's been 2 years now, almost, maybe almost 2 years. The only time I took a break from it at all was 2019 from May and June and part of July. So it was like about 3 months in 2019. And that was when I went to Korea. I took a break from it. So we didn't have any live classes during that time. But since then, since the end of the summer, since July 2019 until today, I have been doing nonstop, almost every Sunday, live streams. So 3 Sundays in a row, then one off, then 3 Sundays, one off. 74 live streams. Count them. This is the 75th, I believe. 74 live streams nonstop since the summer of 2018, or summer of 2019, sorry. And it looks like I might be able to go to Korea again this year. Now, it's going to be a bit of a different trip due to the situation. I'm not going to be there for as long as I would normally go. It'll be a shorter trip, about half the time I would be there for. But it's still going to be a absence of about 2 months, a little over 2 months that I won't be doing these live streams. So because of that, because I'm going to be going in Korea, I'm not going to be having enough time to prepare for a teaching live stream before I go. I have to make a bunch of videos. And while I'm in Korea, I'm not going to have any of this equipment. I'm not bringing my lights. I'm not bringing, well, obviously I'm not bringing this place. I'm not going to be bringing my whiteboard. There's not room in my luggage for any of that, or this, everything I have right here. I won't be able to do any live streams because I'm going to be in Korea making videos. I'm going to be doing collabs, trying to do stuff for my channel. So I won't be able to do live streams when I'm over there, at least not these ones, not these classes that I normally do. So this will probably be the last live stream until at least the middle of August. Although I guarantee you I will be back. So this is not a, I'm not going to the store. I don't want to make that analogy. I'll be back. I'm not just taking off, guys. I'll be back. I promise. Yeah, with that said, let's, if you have any questions, feel free to ask, but, yeah, so this will likely be the last class for this month and until August. And then in August, we'll pick up, we'll go back to the next lesson will either be another one about this, end up being this one, or it'll be one about a different grammar form. I think it was 하다 보면 was the other grammar form that was the option. So one of those two. Great. So let's check out the chat for a bit, and we'll get started at 2. So let's just give about 5 minutes to check out what you guys are writing. So glad you get to go to Korea. I'm hoping for it. Like I said, it's not guaranteed yet. I would say once I buy the tickets, it's guaranteed, but last year I bought tickets and I had to cancel. So even when I get tickets, it's not guaranteed yet. When I am actually in Korea, that is when it's guaranteed that I'm going to Korea. So, but in the meantime, I need the extra time. I need those 2 days every week that I give up for preparing for this. 1 day to write the lesson and today to film it, live stream it, and edit it. So it takes 2 days out of every week. I've been doing that since 2019, nonstop. It takes 2 days every week to do this, and I need those extra 2 days to prepare to get to go on the trip. I have to film. This week, I'm going to be filming 12 videos. Yes. Next week will be 5. So, and then that should be it. And then because I need to have videos while I'm gone, because if I'm going to be filming stuff over there, but I might not be able to edit it and upload it really quickly. So I need to have everything ready to go until the end of August before I can leave. So yeah, it's going to be very busy. Someone asked, to the store like my dad. Yeah, that's the analogy I wasn't going to make. Yes. Going to the store for milk. Sure. Yes. But I'll be back. I promise. 또 올 때 새로운 모습을 보여줄 수 있어서 괜찮은데요. I'm gonna look the same. You can expect this same hat and the same shirt. Just being honest with you. Nothing's gonna change. I might be a little bit sunburned depending on how much I'm outside. We'll see though. Thanks again for all these live streams. Yeah, and I'm glad you guys have been coming to the live streams. And again, they're not, it's a little bit sad, but I know I'm not ending the live streams. I'm taking a break. And again, it's not a break. It's not so much that I'm taking a break because I don't like the live streams. I like the live streams. I just can't do them while I'm in Korea. However, that is not to say there won't be a live stream while I'm in Korea. It just won't be this. It won't be a regular thing like this. It's not going to be scheduled like on this day at this time, this topic. You know, it won't be that kind of thing. If I can, I'll try to do just like a hello live stream from Korea. But I don't know when or where or how that'll happen yet. So I'll let you guys know when that gets closer to it. We'll still do something. We'll still do something while I'm over there. At this point in time, I think you'll still... Yes, that's correct, Wang. Let's see here. I wish I could meet you there, but one day I'm sure. Yeah, and if anyone's interested in meeting me and hanging out in Korea, this time, I'm not going to be doing anything this time. If everything goes well, I am planning to go one more time later this year. So I'll talk about that when it gets closer. I'm hoping that I can go at least twice this year. So if you can't go this time, that's fine. You might have another chance. If everything's okay by then, I would like to have another fan meetup at the end of this year in Korea. So I'll announce that as it gets closer because right now I'm just worrying about one trip at a time. But if things go well, then yeah, we'll do another trip there later in the year. Next time we have a live stream, my little badge icon will be upgraded. Oh, well, that's right. Yeah, you're still a goat right now. I see that. That's when I was hoping to go, but depends if I have the funds. Yeah, I actually thought about that. This trip is going to even be more expensive than a regular trip because having to do so much extra stuff for it. And still, though, I thought about it and no, I mean, I just can't imagine not going. Like, I couldn't imagine not going to Korea anymore. And there's some things like you can sacrifice a lot of things that you really don't need if you think about it. But then at the end of the day, you're still alive to live. You still want to do things that you want to do. And one of the things I really, really do want to do is spend time in Korea. So I'm going. I wasn't even looking at the price. I'm going. Hey, Gianna. Hey, Gianna C. Thank you. Yeah, you're going to Korea. Happy for you. Thanks. I'm happy for me too. Hopefully, like I said, don't jinx anything. Don't jinx anything. But I did want to announce that even though I don't have the tickets yet, even though I don't have everything I need yet, even though I'm not there yet, I did want to let you guys know because I feel like in order for me to have the best chance to get everything ready before I would go, I need to stop the live streams for the time being. Now, if things go sour and it turns out I can't go, I'm going to start the live streams again sometime next month. So hopefully not. But yeah, so just letting you guys know. Hold on, I see a message here. Let's do that. Jordy says you can make a cardboard Billy and a card box. Okay, a cardboard Billy and set up a 24/7 live stream. So we have someone to practice with while you're gone. Enjoy and we'll miss you. Yeah, I would hope that I could teach better than a cardboard box. I hope that you guys would you would all notice the difference between me and a cardboard box, but I don't know. The sports games don't seem to notice, so maybe it's okay. Welcome, Arlie. Hey. Okay. So that is really, really sour. A really sour energy drink. Wow, I did not expect it to be that sour. Oh, we got another donation. Who's that? Hasn't shown up yet. The board blinked before I could see it. Amanda! Wow. I saw it blink red on the screen. I was like, oh, that's a large donation. Wow, Amanda. $49.99. Thank you so much, Amanda. Have a safe trip whenever you may go. I'll tell you. I'm planning to go at the end of this month. So that's all I'll let you know. I don't want to tell you the day, the time of the flight, or the flight number, or anything like that. I don't want someone to meet me at the airport and bug me there, and my kid and my wife. But it'll be toward the end of this month. That's all I'll say. Actually, I can't say anymore because I don't know the actual day yet either. But we'll see. Thank you so much. I forgot. I didn't do a reaction. I didn't do a dab when Gianna donated, and I need to do something for both of you. So let me do a combined dab. Let's do a little dab party, and then we'll get started. Let's get the KiCat going. KiCat's doing dabs. Let's get some stars going. Let's get some music. Here we go. Okay. Music's still going, right? Okay. Just keep doing this after the music ends. That would be really awkward. I always hope my grandma's not watching this or something. It's like, I'm so ashamed of you. Thank you so much. Okay. Let me just check here. I wonder if your kids watched this. I don't have kids. I have a kid. And no, he doesn't watch it. He doesn't really care. But he speaks Korean already. For a 5-year-old, he speaks like a 5-year-old. So yes, I know more Korean than him, but he will speak much better than me because he's going to be he's bilingual. So as long as our plans work out well for his education, he'll end up speaking Korean better than me. He'll end up speaking Korean just like anyone else who speaks 2 languages on a regular basis. Okay. Whew. So let's get started with our lesson. I'm gonna add in like a whip sound when I snap my head back. Okay, so today's lesson is for beginners, but as always, there are going to be some notes for intermediates as well toward the end. We're gonna be learning about the particle udo. Now, this particle actually, don't be deceived by this particle. This particle has so many different uses. I'm not exaggerating. I remember once looking at someone else's lesson for udo. This was like months ago. And there were their lesson had about 7 different uses for it. 7. And I remember when I read that lesson, just looking at the uses that they found, I was thinking, oh, they didn't include this one. Oh, they didn't include this one. It has a lot of uses. Really, a lot of different uses. Now, to a Korean, it might only seem to have a few uses because you can kind of, if you learn a couple of these uses, they kind of all seem to mash together in how they mean. But the way that they're actually used, to an English speaker, there are definitely a lot of different uses for them. And in fact, that's, if we do the next live stream, whenever that'll be, August, okay, middle of August, when we learn more about this, you'll see there are a lot of different uses. Today, we're going to focus on the 2 most basic uses of this particle. One of them is very simple. In fact, I'm going to bet the majority of you watching already know this particle, how it's used in this way. This particle can be used to mean toward. And this is the first thing that we're going to talk about. The way it works is you attach this after a location. So you get a noun that's a location. For example, you could say Busan or Billy's house or whatever. And then if that location ends in a consonant, then you're going to attach ro. And if it ends in a vowel, you're just going to attach ro. Alternately, if that location happens to end with this letter, known as lir, well, then you'll also just attach ro to the end. This is not really going to happen too much, but some locations, like if you're talking about going to like Seoul, Seoul로 가다, to go to Seoul. Now, I said it translates as toward, literally, but when you actually write this in a sentence, when you're actually translating it, you don't usually translate it as toward. In fact, I rarely see it translated as toward into English. It'll mostly just get translated as to. Like to Billy's house, to Seoul, like that. So what is this particle? How is this particle different than a? Because I said it means toward. Well, there's another particle you should already know that also means to. And that is e. So how is this particle different from this particle if they both can translate as to? First of all, this particle doesn't only translate as to. It can also translate as, first of all, actually I should say that again. This particle, first of all, doesn't only translate as to. It's also used to say where someone or something is located, where something or someone is. And in this case, it's used together with the verb ita, for example, to say like, Billy is at home. You can say 집, house, 집에 있어요. So Billy is at home. Literally, Billy exists at home. So in that case, it can mean like at, or maybe if you wanted to say Billy is in America, you could say 미국, America, 미국에 있어요. So in America, or whatever you want to say, in California, or at the mall, at the zoo. Billy is in a cage at the zoo. Something like that. 에 있어요. 으로 cannot be used to mean that. This one can only be used when you're talking about going somewhere or coming to somewhere. And it's only used for movement. So with that said though, now you can see that this one has an extra use, but then still, if you're talking about going to a location and you're not talking about this, and you're only talking about going to a location, then how are these two different? I know a lot of you already think you know the answer to this, but I want to see what you guys think. I shouldn't say guys. There are a lot of girls watching too. Is that okay to say? I don't know. What do you all think? Let's say y'all. I'm going to be from a different part of America today. What do y'all think? What's the difference between these two? If they're both being used to mean to, what do you think is the difference? I'm curious because although you might know, I'm just curious what you think. I want to know how you would explain it. Oh, take care, Amanda. Just read your message. You have to go. That gave me Blue's Clues vibes. That's what we're always going for in this show. Thanks for gender neutral. That's 2021. I'm like, I want to be nice, but I grew up saying, you guys. So I'm like, we always used it for boys and girls. But if people don't like it, y'all is fine with me. You folk. Yeah, you folk. I don't know. You folk just feels so strange to me. Like something like, I don't know, from like some random like small town. Secretive. Hello, welcome, secretive. Like folk would be like you wander into the wrong village and they'd be like, we don't take kindly to strangers who come around here. Like that kind of, you get that kind of feeling if you hear folk. Udo requires movement. You mean not ye. Doesn't. Well, I already explained that. But I'm saying, what if you're saying toward? What if you're saying to a location? So you're already using it with a location. You're not saying Billy is at the house, but you're just saying Billy's going to the house. You could say, let me frame this. If I wanted to say, for example, I go to Billy's house. You can say 빌리 집, house, 집으로 가요. Or 빌리 집에 가요. They both mean I'm going to Billy's house. So then which one is better and what's the difference? Or if they're both, what's the difference? Let's just ask that. Not necessarily which one's better, but what's the difference? If you guys don't know, it's totally okay. But I would not be surprised if, even if you've learned this before, actually describing it, stating it to someone else might be a bit difficult. Running in the house, I'm running toward the house. No, not running in the house. If you wanted to say you're running in the house like you're at the house, you wouldn't use a, because a is only for going to somewhere. And again, this is not a lesson about the a particle. That would be a previous lesson we've already done. This is assuming you already know this particle. Other not necessary. Nope, doesn't have to do with that. Udo can be used with means of transportation. Nope, doesn't have to do with that. If you're going to a place that's in the same direction. Nope. Plot twist, there's no difference? No, there is a difference. There is a difference. I am so glad that I don't see the chat filled with the answer, because I was worried that this would be, I wasn't sure. I was worried this could be a bit too basic. Now, I don't mean that it's super basic and haha, you don't know. But I mean, I was worried that everyone would have already learned this difference, but there actually is a significant difference between these two. The difference between these two, why's my voice like I'm still going through puberty? The difference between these two is actually not so much a literal difference. It's not so much a translatable difference. It is a nuance difference, but it is a big nuance difference. When you use uro, just writing it down first. When you use uro, it emphasizes the direction that you're heading. It emphasizes that direction that the movement is going toward. So the nuance is when you use uro, you have the feeling that something is going in that way, in that direction, out toward the house, in the feeling of not just a destination, I'm going to the house, but I'm headed there. 집으로 가요. I'm going toward home in that sort of sense. Although you would just say I'm going home in English, but the feeling is I'm heading toward home. I'm heading home almost. The meaning is the same as saying I'm going home versus I'm heading home, but you can feel it's a little bit different, right? Even in English, I'm heading home. I'm going home. Both are the same overall meaning. You are going to home. One doesn't have like a different tense. They're not like special restrictions like, oh, you can't use it if you're like doing that or doing that. It's the same thing, but a different nuance. And that is the nuance of heading somewhere. Now, it doesn't have to be going. It could also be coming here. Someone could be heading this way, but it emphasizes though the direction that movement is going versus E instead emphasizes more the location that you're heading to. But an easier way to worry about this, an easier way to think about this, you don't have to worry about it. An easier way to think about this though, is just to know that uro emphasizes the direction of the movement. If you want a little bit more on top of that, say you're intermediate, A shows more emphasis that that's simply a location, but not that you're going in that direction necessarily. Just that's where you're going. Like there can be a location wherever, and it doesn't matter how you get there or what direction you're going, simply that's where you're going, the end. That's what A shows. But you don't really need to even learn that. If you just learn that uro instead shows more emphasis that that's the direction, that's enough to feel the difference. Because of that, uro, when you're saying someone is going somewhere, uro will actually sound more natural most of the time. Unless you're using it for other uses. Like if you wanted to say someone is at a location or something like that. Uro will be more commonly used when you're saying you're going toward a location, when you're going to a location, you're heading there. It sounds a little bit more natural than saying E. I would recommend using this whenever you can, anytime you can. For intermediates who are watching, there are times when you do not want to use this, when it can be less natural, and I'll show you one. If you are using uro to mean using, which is what we're going to be learning next. And you have, for example, you went to Billy's house by car. Now, I know we haven't done this lesson yet. I'll explain it though, but this is for intermediates who want a little bit of extra notes. If you want to say, I went to Billy's house by car. 차로 빌리 집으로 갔어요. It sounds repetitive to use uro twice. In that case, you would use 집에 for the second one to sound more natural. It's not wrong to use it, but it sounds more natural to use 에 instead because it avoids repetition. Okay, back to the lesson for beginners. All right, back to the lesson for beginners. Okay, so because of that, there are some times you must use 으로 and not a. Anytime that it follows 쪽. 쪽 means a direction or a way, like in that way. Like if you go to a restaurant and the waiter's helping you to your table, they'd say 이쪽으로 오세요, or something like that. Or where's the bathroom? 저쪽에 있어요. It's over there, way over there. Just keep going. Yeah. 오른쪽에 있어요. It's on the right, on the right side, way, direction. If you're going to be going in a direction, 왼쪽으로 가세요. Go left, toward the left way, the left side, left direction. The same thing goes for any other word that indicates direction. So 방향 actually means a direction. And this kind of has this word has more of the feeling of like a way or a side. And this is like just a direction. It also is used for any sort of direction like north, south, east, or west. So if you're going to say go toward the north, go toward the north, 북쪽, 북쪽으로 가세요. Go north, like that. Don't go too far north. You're going to end up in the wrong Korea. That's not good. But this would be used for any sort of direction. So any general direction, you must use 으로 and not 에. If you were to say 오른쪽에, then it has to be 있어요. It has to be exists 에. It could not be going toward that direction. It would sound a bit awkward if you were to use it with a movement verb. Does that make sense? Hopefully yes, because we're moving on. This lesson is not about how to use 으로 to mean toward. That was just a quick review. Now let's get into our actual lesson. Today we're going to be learning an interesting particle that I bet you've never seen before called 으로. Okay, 으로 actually, again, it has many uses in Korean. One of them is to mean toward. Another one is to mean using. And there are a lot more. But this is the biggest one, I think, that we should cover. Now, you've probably never even seen this particle before. I bet you've never even seen it before. I certainly have never covered it before. Okay, the way it works is the exact same way as what we just learned. It attaches after a consonant or a vowel or with the letter lir. So the way you attach it to a word is the same thing. However, this one doesn't attach to locations, but nouns. So you have a noun and you attach 으로. This one, you can think of it in your mind as translating as using, although there are many other ways to translate it too. But literally, let's talk about what it means. I'm going to write down all of the ways it's used to mean using. At least all the ways that I could think of. There's probably a couple more. Okay, let me check the chat for a second also. Okay, good. Can we use it in the past tense? Yeah, no reason you can't. Okay, this particle, 으로, this particle is used to show the tool, the method, the means, the material, the machine, or the channel by which you do some sort of action. So, how you did something. What did you use? What tool did you use? What method did you use? What means did you do? What means did you use? What material did you use to make something? What machine did you build this out of? Oh, I got a donation. What is MX? 강주원님. By the way, thanks for class. Thank you, 강주원. But what is MX? MX. What is MX? Sounds like an in-game currency or something. Mexican pesos. Awesome. Thank you. That's almost $3. Thank you. 강주원. Thank you so much. Okay. So once again, this is used to explain, this is used to show the tool you used or method or means, material, machine, or channel in order to do something. How did you do it? What did you use? So you did it by using whatever noun comes before it. Now, there are many ways that this can translate. I'm going to just list a few for you right now. If you want, you can write them down. This can translate in a lot of ways. The most common ways that I've seen this translated are as follows. Using, by, with, out of, on, via, by means of. Yeah. If you need me to write those up, I can. I just want to save some time. Those are just how it can be translated. And the reason is in English, we don't really have an equivalent of this particle. We express things very differently in English. We might say, I made a drawing using a brush or with a brush, right? With. I made a bookcase out of wood. Now, you could think of it as using wood, but we would naturally say out of wood, right? I sent an email by means of the fax machine. Can you do that? You can't do that. I sent an email via the computer, or I sent it via email. Sure. I wrote it by means of something else. You know, we can say it a lot of different ways. And if I actually do that sentence, it'll be a little bit unnatural, but you could. We have a lot of ways we can express this. I rode to the store. I went to the store by bike, right? But in the end, any way that it can translate all comes back to that meaning of using. So let's do our first example. That is all the explanation we need that we need for this form. Fortunately, it's quite simple. Now, there are a couple other things we're going to talk about that are for intermediates. We'll do that after these sentences. That's something else you should know about using this to mean using. But let's just do our first sentence. So, put. Why did I say that funny? Put. Put means a brush, like like an ink brush or drawing something with a brush. Oh, I see a donation. Another Mexican pesos. Awesome. Ana Sofia Flores. I think Flores means flower. I'm not sure. Ana Sofia Flores. Why am I doing it with an Italian voice? Clearly it's Mexican pesos. Ana. Thank you. Appreciate it. Most people don't know this, but my grandmother was Mexican. I totally look Mexican, don't I? Yeah, I know I don't. But yeah, she was 100% Mexican. Okay. So back to our sentence. I wrote one word on the board. Pusuro. Okay. I want you guys, okay, while I'm writing this, I want you all to finish this sentence how you would finish it. We're starting with pusuro. So with a brush, what are you going to do with a brush? I want you to write your own sentence. Don't look at what I'm writing until after you've finished your own sentence. Promise me. Write your own sentence and then look at what I'm writing. So I'm going to block the board. Go. You got 1 minute while I'm writing this up. Okay, you're not really going to have a minute, but just don't look at the board until you're finished. Now I want to see what you're writing. Right, give me your sentences, everyone. Give me your sentences. Chico Han, do you know how to speak Spanish? No hablo español. Like, nada. Yeah, like random phrases you learn from watching like commercials and stuff like that. But, you know, like random things I heard my grandma say, and that's pretty much it. I can't speak it. Oh, but I was watching a TV show last night and a character was speaking Spanish, and I kind of can make out like maybe 20% of what they're saying because I studied French for 6 years in high school and college. So I could kind of make out what the character was saying, and I was like translating to my wife. I'm like, oh, she said this in Spanish. And then the character would translate. I'm like, yeah, I was right. But it was like maybe 20% at most. So no, I can't speak Spanish. It's just like guessing by how it sounds and seeing if I can match it with French words I know. Okay. A lot of you had a similar sentence as this. Interesting. I guess the first thing that came to your mind when you heard brush was drawing, 그림. So let's see what else. 그림을 그리다, to draw a picture with a brush. Okay. 붓으로 그림을 그리고 있어요. Am drawing a picture with a brush. Nice. I'm going to quickly scan everyone's. I'm not going to read them all out loud, but I am reading them. Oh, nice, Carol. 아름다운 그림을, instead of 했어요, you want to use 그렸어요. From 그림을 그리다. They say to draw a drawing. And not do a drawing, but draw a drawing. If you said 했어요, they'll understand what you tried to say, though. 붓으로 쓸 거예요. 개소린. Yes, French. Yes. I want to learn Spanish after Korean. Spanish is probably more useful if you're living in the States, but I mean, Korean's a lot more fun for me, so. Not Persian prince, you need to have a verb. You need to have a verb that you're doing with the brush. Let's speak French then. No, I cannot speak French. 차를 붓으로 그렸어요. Just a spelling thing for echo. So you're saying I drew a car with a brush. You can just say 붓으로 차를 그렸어요. You don't need to say 차를 붓으로 그렸어요. That's like saying with the brush, I drew a car. So like the order's a little bit strange, although it makes sense. The order would be, you want to put it after. So with the brush, I drew a car. 차를 그렸어요. Or 차의 그림을 그렸어요. I drew a picture of a car. Even better. Okay, this is my sentence. 붓으로 그림을 그렸어요. With a brush. So notice that the using part goes at the beginning. What you're using to do it. Another donation. And thank you. I'll update here. I think that rounds it out to like a solid $3 there. Thank you. Kangjuan. You put a suitcase there. Is that for my trip? Do I bring those Mexican pesos to Korea? Be like, do you accept pesos? Can I use pesos here? They're going to be like, what? Can you use what here? Yes. Okay. 붓으로. So with a brush. 그림, a drawing. 그림을 그리다 is to draw a drawing. So 붓으로 그림을 그렸어요. I drew a drawing, or we would just say I made a drawing using a brush or with a brush. Okay. Let's go on to our next sentence. 저는, so I, 이 책으로 I'm tempted to give you a lot of sentences today. Finish this sentence. Don't look at my board. I'm going to finish it. Finish a sentence on your own because this is kind of fun. I like those answers. What would you write? 저는 이 책으로. So I, 이 책으로, with this 책, with this book, what are you doing? Or what did you do? Or what will you do? What would you say? Don't read the board until after you write your own. Okay. Don't read my sentence. Write your own first. I'll know if you check this. Okay, let's see what else we got. What are your sentences? Is there a difference between painting a wall and painting a picture? Yes, there is. 그리다 is to draw something. Like this is drawing. You wouldn't say drawing a wall. Like in English, we wouldn't say drawing a wall. You say paint. In Korean, they say paint 칠하다. They say 칠, like 7, 칠하다. And that's to paint. So paint 칠하다, to paint something. So you could paint the wall or paint, I don't know, whatever you want to paint. Like that's like that sort of brushing with a big brush. Not put is a, why do I keep saying like put this? Put is just like those small little hand brushes that you would use for like writing something. So that wouldn't be like if you tried to paint your wall with using one of those little, calligraphy brushes, that'll take a very long time. And then you'd have a black wall. Just like my walls in my room are all black. Oh, Amanda. And welcome for joining. Thank you for joining. Okay, what are all of your sentences today? 저는 이 책으로 한국어를 잘 공부했어요. Okay, I studied Korean well using this book. 책으로 김치 파전을 어떻게 I see what you're going for. In order to say that, you have to actually do a different grammar form. You have a couple options. You could do this with the G form. Now, I do have a full live stream about the G form. It's quite big. Or you could do it by saying the way to make that, which is 만드는 방법 or 만드는 법. And I have another lesson about that as well in my live stream. So you say, I learned the way to make, and then in that case, you wouldn't use 어떻게. But if you want to say 어떻게, that would have to be 만드는지. So that's a different grammar form. And yes, I do have a live stream. Check that out. Let's see what else you have. 이 책으로 밥을 먹었어요? How did you eat with this book? Did you like use the book pages like chopsticks and pick up your food? And then like that? You can't. 이 책으로 밥을 못 먹어요. You can't eat with this book. You cannot use this book to eat. Let's see what else we got. 공부해요. Very good, Will Thompson. Very close to what I had. Okay, I see another donation. Let me read some more sentences real quick before they go off the screen. 벌레를 죽였어. Okay, perfect, 보라. Awesome example. I killed a bug with this book. But if you're saying 저는 at the beginning, you want to be careful about your politeness levels at the end. So add a 요 to the end to match. 한국어를 배워요. Very nice. 책으로 공부해요. Okay, just reading quick. 이 책으로 한국어를 공부할 거예요. Very good. 공부했어요. 이 폰으로 유튜브를 봐요. Okay, I watch. Okay, so I was like, that's a good sentence. Let me see who wrote. Oh, it's a native. Okay, good sentence. Oh, your Korean's very good. 이 책으로 시험을 배우고 있어요. Okay, I'm learning a test. I think you meant I'm studying for a test. But I'll give it to you. It's close. I understood it. 형의 책으로 모기를 죽였다. Okay. And again, if you're saying 저는, you need to match that with polite speech. You wouldn't use the plain tense, 죽였다. You would use a polite speech like 죽였어요 or 죽였습니다 or something like that. And whatever you want to say, but not casual or the plain form for that. 철수를 때렸어요. Oh, 철수, he had it coming. Very good. 에세이를 썼어요. I wrote an essay using this book. Okay. Oh, I was going to read one and it disappeared. 저는 이 책으로 제 친구를 Okay, you can't just use 때리다 by itself. You have to conjugate it. But I see what you're trying to go for. You'd have to conjugate 때리다 to maybe past tense or future tense or maybe I want to or something like that. 공부했어요. 저는 이 책으로 한국 역사에 대해 알아봤어요. Very nice sentence. 감사합니다. 배웠어요. 이 책으로 한국어를 많이. Okay, let's check out the donation. 이만 아샤니. I'm late again, but I will watch this live later. Thank you, Iman. Your Korean name is Iman. It has to be. It has to be Iman. I'm sorry. You don't have any other choice. Because then when you finish talking to people, you can say 이만 가보겠습니다. It's a bad dad joke. It's like, it's normally you could say something like that when you're, okay, well, I'll take off now. Like, I'll see you later. But it's like, well, then I am going to go. Like, it has a double meaning. Anyway, your name has to be Iman. Thank you for your donation. And, oh, I got another one. Riru. Is it Riru? Kawaii Kiti? Riru. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but welcome. Our new member. Okay, I gotta go back to the sentence so that we have enough time to do everything for today. Thank you. Welcome to the new member as well. Okay, 저는. Whoa, I was just about to do the sentence. I just saw another donation. Joni. Wow, Joni with hitting us with the very large donation. Thank you so much. I'm like getting attacked by donations. And then Joni comes in. Thank you so much, Joni. That's so nice of you. Let me do I'll do a short dad party for that. Let's do Arirang. I feel patriotic. Okay. Thank you. All right. My board is broken. Hold on. I have to fix my board. The lights won't turn off. How do I fix this? There we go. Okay. 저는 이 책으로. So using this book, with this book, 공부할 거예요. I will study with this book. So I'm going to study with this book. 저는 이 책으로 공부할 거예요. 저는 이 책으로 공부할 거예요. So I will study literally using this book. The book is the means by which I am going to study. Yeah, okay. This is great. A few more Jonies and Amandas and I can pay for my whole Korea trip. Okay, next sentence. I've only done 2 sentences. Okay, I have to speed things up a little bit or else we won't be able to get through all the sentences I want to do today. Actually, let's just fix it like no, that's bad. We don't do that. That's not what we do here. We do things right. 두부 is tofu. 두부는 콩으로 만들어요. 두부는 콩. 콩 is beans, but it's more specifically, it's soybeans. 콩으로 만들어요. So soybeans, using soybeans, tofu is made of soybeans. That's how you would say tofu is made of soybeans. 두부는 콩으로 만들어요. Literally, as for tofu, well, you make it, 만들어요, 콩으로, using soybeans. And there's a lot of stuff that goes into making tofu you might not think about. When they make tofu, there is a byproduct. I think it's PG? Yeah. I don't want to say it because I'm like 1% I'm thinking I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's called PG, but I'll have to check that. Okay, now I have to know. It's really good. It's like tofu milk. Yeah, PG. It's called bean curd dregs, and it's a byproduct when they make tofu. And the reason I know is because next to where I stay in Korea, not too far away from there is a popular tofu restaurant where they make their own tofu there. And the place smells, if you don't know what it's supposed to smell like, it can smell kind of horrible if you're not expecting it. And there are a few things that they do with soybeans, and one of them is you make tofu and you get a side dish out of that called PG, which is like you can even like drink it. It's really good. Another thing you get out of that is doenjang. Doenjang is we would call it miso paste, but it's also made from the same like fermented soybeans. And then that can be used to make other soup like cheonggukjang and stuff like that. Anyway, that was your lesson about tofu today. 두부는 콩으로 만들어요. So tofu is made with soybeans. Okay, next sentence. 컴퓨터로. So by computer or on the computer, 수업을 들어요. 들었고? What do I do? I was thinking something else while writing something else. Okay, let's fix that. 수업. 수업 is class. 수업을, normally it's 수업을 듣다. To take class. Literally to hear class, but we don't think of it like that. To take class. 컴퓨터로 수업을 들어요. So I take class on the computer. But literally, using the computer, I take class. So I take class on my computer. Okay, next sentence. Oops, the lights. Don't want that. Okay, next sentence. 공 is a ball. Okay, here we're gonna add a little extra form. We're gonna say 그 공, that ball, 그 공을 발로 차주세요. 발로. 발 is your foot. 발로 차다. 차다 is to kick. So 차주세요. Please kick the ball with your foot. With your foot. Literally using your foot. So please kick that ball using your foot. Please kick that ball with your foot. Kick that ball with your foot, please. 그 공을 발로 차주세요. Okay. How are we on time? I want to be able to catch up so I can give you some more sentences. Okay. Oh, another. Oh my goodness, Tara. Wow. And you broke my board. Hold on. I can fix the board later. Just this past year, I picked up Korean again, and I'm now a high intermediate. Just this past year. You have saved me so much money in tutoring. The YouTube channel, Korean Dream with Jay, has Thursday, yes, I know that channel as well, has Thursday lives for both intermediate and beginner Korean grammar. They are great fun. Thank you so much, Tara. Wow. Thank you. That's amazing. Let's put Tara D. I'm pretty sure that donations today have funded my my plane ticket already. No, I wish plane tickets were that cheap. That would be awesome if you could fly to Korea for like couple hundred bucks. Thank you so much. Let me do hold on. Let me fix my board here. Okay, there we go. Let me do a small dab party. We totally have to, if I do another meetup in Korea someday, we'll do a real life dab party. I'll play music at like Hangang at the Han River, and we'll just all do like dabs, like randomly in public, and everyone will be like staring at us like, what are they doing? Okay. 사람을 옷으로 판단하지 마세요. Let's do a few words here. 사람, a person. 옷, clothing. 옷으로, using their clothes. In this case, we would actually say by their clothes. 판단하다 is to judge. 판단하지 마세요. So don't judge a person by their clothes. 사람을 옷으로 판단하지 마세요. So literally don't judge by their clothes a person. So don't judge people by their clothing. If you see someone has a Nickelback t-shirt, they might still be a really nice guy or a really nice girl. Don't judge them. 사람을 it's not funny if I laugh at my own jokes though. 사람을 옷으로 판단하지 마세요. So don't judge a person by their clothes. Okay, next sentence. 이 전화번호로. So by this telephone number, using this telephone number, 연락하다 is to contact. So 이 전화번호로. Oh, I got another donation. Lorenzo, welcome Lorenzo. Lorenzo is our new member today. Thank you. Like looking above. Like, you know, like you're taught if you're doing like the bowing for like karate or something, or you like look up at your opponent so they don't attack you. I'm like, thank you. And again, my board is broken. There we go. Okay. 이 전화번호로 연락해 주세요. 이 전화번호로. 이 전화번호로. Using or by this phone number, 연락하다 to contact. So please 연락해 주세요. Please contact me. Literally just please contact. Please contact me using this phone number. So please contact me on this phone number or by this phone number. 이 전화번호로 연락해 주세요. Okay. Let's see how we're doing. Next one. Okay. We're kind of getting caught back up. That's good. Oops. Try to combine 부터 into one word and it didn't work. Okay, I tried. I want you to finish this sentence again. 지난주부터 유튜브로. So from last week on YouTube, And then I'll tell you how you're going to want to end the sentence. You're going to want to end the sentence using 고 있어요. Now, you can change that to 있어 if you want to do like a casual speech sentence or whatever. But you want to end it with the progressive tense. It'll sound very natural that way. 지난주부터 유튜브로 something 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 고 있어요. So I am doing something from last week on YouTube. What is it that you're doing? So what have you been doing since last week on YouTube? Don't look at the board. I'm going to write my sentence now. What would you do? Okay, that's my sentence, but write a sentence of your own before you check it out. Let's see what your sentences are. 공부하고 있어요. Okay, I've been studying. I have been studying on YouTube since last week. Very good. 라이브를 하고 있어요. Okay. If you say 라이브를 하고 있어요, that means you have been doing live streaming. But that's a fine sentence though. 지난주부터 유튜브로 빌리의 라이브를 보고 있어요. Okay? I've been watching Billy's lives since last week. Go Billy Korean 보고 있어요. Okay? You don't have to put me in the example, everyone. You can use whatever you want, but I appreciate it. 지난주부터 유튜브로, so it's not 유튜브로, it's 유튜브로 because it ends in a vowel, so you don't need to add 한국어 배우기 위해 영화를 보고 있어요. Okay, I'm watching movies to learn Korean. 유튜브로 비디오를, and instead of 많이 비디오, 많이 is an adverb, Monica. Adverbs you want to use directly before the verb, as close to the actual verb that they're modifying. In this case, the verb you're modifying is 보다, to see. So you're watching a lot. 많이. So it would be 많이 보고 있어요 in that order. So after video, not 많이 비디오. 유튜브로 빌리도 공부하고 well, I'm not sure what you meant. 빌리도, if you're trying to say 빨리, I'm studying quickly, or if you're studying something with 빌리, I'm not sure if that's supposed to be Billy or something else. Sorry. 유튜브로 빌리 보고 있어요. Okay? 지난주부터 유튜브로 비디오를 많이, and they say you want to use 비디오를 많이 보고 있어요, not 많이 비디오를, yeah, the wrong order. 유튜브로 BTS 비디오를 보고 있어요. Okay, watching BTS videos since last week. Okay, now I'm going to just read them really quickly. I'll point any out if I feel there's something to teach from them. Lots of people are saying there 보고 있어요 things. Okay, let's try to get some new sentences. Well, I mean, it's fine sentence, but I didn't know if people were copying others, like hearing it and copying. They're like, oh, that's good. I'll use that as well. It's fine if you do, but I'd like you to challenge yourself to do a different verb instead of 보다. Okay, someone has 배우고 있어요. Okay, we had a few of those. 보다, good sentence. I have been learning Korean since last week. 부터 유튜브로 라이브 not 수업, but 수업을 봤어요. Okay. 스밍, I think you mean 스트리밍. Okay, I guess 스밍, sure. Is that your shortened version? I don't think there's a way to shorten it with 스밍, but I could be wrong. Is that a shortened version? I guess they do. Okay, never heard that. I always just use streaming. But sure, looks like 스밍 is a real word. Learn something new every day. Sounds weird to me though. I watch Blackpink House to learn some Korean. Do they have a Korean teaching thing? 한국 음식을 만들어 봐요. So I make food on YouTube. I think you would want to say learning cooking or something like that. Learning how to cook Korean food. Okay, let's give you another sentence. Here's the one that I wrote. 지난주부터, from last week, 지난주. YouTube로, so on YouTube, or using YouTube literally, 요리를 배우고 있어요. I am learning cooking, 요리. So I'm learning cooking on YouTube from last week, or since last week, I have been learning cooking on YouTube. 지난주부터 유튜브로 요리를 배우고 있어요. Okay. Let's do the next sentence. Wow, there are 210 people right here in the chat. Awesome. Okay. 새가 창문으로 들어왔어요. 새. 새 is a, one of these things, bird. That's verb. Okay. 새가 창문으로 들어왔어요. 창문 is a window. 창문으로 들어왔어요. 들어오다 is to enter in. To enter in here. It is a combination of entering and 오다, to come. There's also a 들어가다, which is to go in. So both mean enter, but one is entering here, 오다, the other one is entering somewhere else, going in versus coming in. So the bird came in using the window. Now, we wouldn't really say the bird came in using the window in English. Instead, we would probably say through the window. The bird came in through the window. Now, literally, it doesn't mean through, but it does mean through in the sense that that was the method in which the bird came in which case it's fine to translate as through. You also might think via the window, by the window. Those would also work too. 새가 창문으로 들어왔어요. So the bird came in through the window. If that bird comes in through the window, I'm like running. I'm leaving the house. Yeah, stay out of my house. Any bird that looks like that. Okay, next sentence. Oh, this is our last sentence for this form. And then we have some more intermediate notes. 이메일로. So by email. 신청하다 is to apply. It could also be like request. So 신청하면 되나요? This one you would need to know a couple other forms to use it because we have the 면 되다. So if I did it, would it be good? Literally. So should I do that? Do I do that? Is that what I do? Should I do that? So should I apply? 신청하면 되나요? Should I apply 이메일로? By email. Should I apply by email? Or do I apply by email? 이메일로 신청하면 되나요? So do I apply by email? 이메일로, by email, via email, through email, using email. 신청하면 되나요? Okay. We're not done. Now, there are other translations and other uses for this particle 으로 that we unfortunately don't have time for this lesson. That would have to be a whole new lesson. At least there's like 7 more. There might even be more. I have to think about it. Which ones do I want to actually teach? Some of them are less useful, but there's a lot of uses of this particle that you'll see beyond just meaning using. For example, one of the really common ones, which would also be covered in a future lesson, would be using it to mean as. Like if you want to say as a friend, you know, not using a friend, not via a friend, but as a friend, in the role of, in that sort of sense. Or also 친구로서. There's another one that's related to 로. There's a bunch of other ones that use this particle, but we'll have to shave that, like Sean Connery all of a sudden. We'll have to shave that for the next time. Now it's time for some notes. I always give some advanced or intermediate notes for every lesson. Sometimes, if you're talking about certain things, it's going to be more natural to use something else than this particle. There might be other forms that sound more natural than this particle, 으로, when you're describing how you got somewhere by transportation. So when you're describing how you transported, traveled, that's the word. When you're describing how you traveled somewhere, there might be more natural ways to say it than using this particle. Let me give you a quick example. To go by car, 차로 가다. Literally, it makes sense. You can use it. It doesn't sound awkward. But Koreans wouldn't say, and actually you might not even say, I went by car in English. How did you get there? Oh, I went by car. Do you say that in English? I went by bus. I went by plane. I arrived here by plane. Do we say this in English? Like maybe a grammar book. In some situations that if someone said, how did you get there? Did you get there? And you want to say really quick, oh, by car. You can say that. Otherwise, when you're just talking about how you got somewhere, you would talk about exactly what you did to get there. For example, you wouldn't say, I went to Korea by plane in a natural sentence in English, although it's okay. No, you would say, I flew there. If you drove somewhere, you wouldn't say, I went there by car. You just say, I drove there. If you go someplace by bus, would you say, I went there by bus? No, you would say, I took a bus. You wouldn't say, I drove a bus, unless you're the driver, but you took a bus. I took a taxi, right? Not I drove a taxi and not I went there by taxi. So just as we say things differently when it comes to transportation in English, the same thing applies in Korean. Actually, it's very close. You don't have to learn any special tricks for using it. They do a lot of the same things. If you want to say you went by a vehicle, just use 로. Sounds the same as it does in English. If you want to say you took a vehicle, like a public transportation, like bus, plane, stuff like that, they have a way that they say that. And if you want to say that you simply drove somewhere, there's another way to say that. So you can learn those things in Korean as well. So we're going to be going over some of them. We're just going to be covering some of these here. There are a few others, but let's do the most common ones. First of all, if you want to say that you went somewhere on foot, you might think that you should say 발로, because we had the example sentence 발로 차다, to kick something with your foot. But if you wanted to say I got there on foot, you don't use 발로. Instead, what they would say is, and in fact, you would probably say this, I walked, right? I went there on foot. I went to meet my friend on foot. Like this sounds like some, I don't know, like some captain's log in like a sci-fi show or something like that. I went there by foot. And when I approached my friend, we don't really say this in Korean. Hold on, I got another small donation. Oh, thank you, Tani. Really appreciate it. Tani E. I'm running out of space on my board to write donations. I'm going to have to start writing them over here when they get there. And then the lesson will just be all like that. 감사합니다 for this lesson, Billy. I really appreciate all the work you do for us. Thank you. That one goes out to Tani. So if you want to say you went somewhere by foot, in English and in Korean, it's more natural just to say you walked somewhere. So in Korean, they do that too. And you use the verb 걷다. 걷다 means to walk, and it conjugates as 걸어서. 걸어서. Walking, and so basically I walked there and did something else. So I went there by foot. You can do it as 걸어서 가다. Or 걸어서 오다, if you walked here. So you might say something like, how did you go there? 걸어서 갔어요. Or, how long does it take to get there on foot? 걸어서 20분 정도 걸려요. It takes about 20 minutes walking by foot, right? But walking. If you walk there, walking there, 걸어서 갔어요. So like I walked and went there. Or you could even say 걸어갔어요. Directly, I walked there. So I went there by walking, or 걸어갔어요. I just walked there. Again, these are notes more for intermediates. So if you're not already familiar with these verbs themselves and these forms, it might be a bit above your level. But I apologize if you're beginner and this doesn't make sense to you. It will when you're an intermediate. Okay, so you can use 걸어서 가다 or 걸어서 오다 to say you went somewhere by foot. But literally, I went there walking. And this grammar form, you'll see, is going to be used often when you want to express how you got somewhere. Whether you got there by walking, or by driving. If you drove somewhere. Now, if you say by car, that doesn't mean you drove, right? But if you drove somewhere yourself, you actually drove there, you wouldn't say I went there by car so much as you would say I drove there. 운전해서 가다, or again, 운전해서 오다. So how'd you get there? How'd you get to Korea? 운전해서 갔어요. Although you probably can't get to Korea by driving. I don't know. I don't think there is any way you could drive to South Korea. Yeah, at least not legally or safely. You could take a boat there, I guess. 운전해서 가다, 운전해서 오다. So again, this form makes an appearance. Driving there, so driving and then going. So I drove there. Versus just saying 차로 갔어요. I went there by car. Like, it makes sense. You know, it kind of sounds okay, but it's not as natural as saying 운전해서 가다. Okay. Now, I should give a note about this. If you say 운전해서 가다, if you use 운전하다, it means you drove. It doesn't mean that someone else drove you. Unless you're saying we drove there, in which case it encompasses everyone you're talking about. But if you just took a taxi, for example, if you took a taxi or a bus, you wouldn't say I drove there. You could say the bus driver drove there, someone else drove there, but you couldn't say I drove there. You couldn't say 운전해서 갔어요. 버스를 운전해서 갔어요. I drove a bus there. Like, no, you wouldn't say that. This is only used when you or the person, the speaker, is driving. So it's actually like saying, I drove there. So then what if you didn't drive? What if you took a vehicle? How would you say that? You could either express this in English as to go by or just to take. And this would be used with any sort of public transportation. So you wouldn't say, I took a car if you drove. It sounds awkward, right? Like, I took a car there. That sounds like you got a private car, like a private driver. That's not what you mean. Unless you're rich, then that is what you mean. But you probably didn't mean that. Any sort of public transportation that you can take, or if you want to say, I went by bus, for example, then you actually want to use the verb 타다. 타다 is to get on a vehicle, to take a vehicle. Normally, like you might say, 버스 탔어요, like I took a bus. Or 택시를 탔어요. 택시를 타고 가다 is what you want to use. Or again, 타고 오다. So literally, take a vehicle. So you get on a vehicle. 타다 is like to get on the vehicle. And then I went there. So I got on a bus and went there, literally. So you can say something like bus or 택시, 비행기, anything like that. 버스를 타고 갔어요. I took a bus, I got on a bus, and then went there. You wouldn't say 버스를 운전해서 갔어요. You wouldn't, unless you're Keanu Reeves in Speed. And you also wouldn't say 버스로 갔어요, unless you really want to emphasize like just, oh, I went by bus. Like, you wouldn't use it though. People don't speak like that. Okay. One other thing, we also talked about walking. This can be for any verb as well as driving. It doesn't have to just be for walking or driving. You can use lots of different verbs to describe how you traveled somewhere, any sort of motion verb. So that also includes, oh, why can't I write suddenly? I think my arm's in a weird position. It also includes like things like 뛰다, 뛰어서, running somewhere. Or another one, 달리다, 달려서, running. So running there. These both can mean running. 뛰어서, 달려서, 가다, 뛰어서 오다. So I ran there, I rushed there, ran over there, that sort of meaning. There are other verbs you can use this with, so just keep an eye out for those, not only 운전하다 or 걷다 for walking. Okay, and that is pretty much the lesson for today. Hopefully that made sense. Wasn't a very long lesson. We actually finished only 4 minutes over time, so we're really good on time. Now we have time for some Q&A questions, but before we do that, I have to give the announcements again for anyone who came in late. Because I did give the announcements before we even started. And the most important announcement I'll give you first again. And that is, this is the last live stream for the next 2 months or so. Now, again, I'm not going to the store to get milk. I will actually be back. I'm planning to start live streaming again, these same classes, in the middle of August. So there is a break. And the reason I'm going to be taking a break from this week, so there's no more class until the middle of August, is because I am planning on going to Korea starting from the end of this month until the beginning of August. So as soon as I get back, I will start the votes again. I'll start the classes again, and there'll be, probably 2 or 3 classes every week. 2 or 3 classes and then one off, and then another 2 or 3 classes, one off. So it'll go back to the schedule again. But we're going to be taking a break. Again, I'm going to be going to Korea. At least I hope so. I'm still crossing my fingers. I haven't bought my tickets yet. And we're still working out some details, like where's my kid going to go to school while we're there and all this stuff. But we'll figure it out. Anyway, so yes, this is the last class. So I guess you would know that if you read the community announcement. But in case you missed it, in case you just came in here blind, yes, this will be the last class you will see from me for a while. Now, I will still be doing weekly videos as usual. There is still going to be 2 videos every single week at least. And I'm going to try to do a live stream or 2 while I'm there, but it's not going to be a class live stream. If I do a live stream in Korea, it would likely just be a hello interaction live stream where I just say hi and answer questions and talk to people. Maybe I can do some live stream with someone else or something like that. I'll figure it out. But this is the last classroom live stream where something's prepared, where you have a lesson, where we do like this sort of thing with the whiteboard. Because I'm not going to be bringing this whiteboard to Korea. It's quite too big to fit in my suitcase. Okay, other announcements are, if you are a Patreon member, you can get the outline and the worksheet for today's lesson. So that has all the questions we did, all the explanations I gave, everything is available, as well as a worksheet with another, I think, 14 practice questions. And there's merchandise pinned to my channel. If you want one more way to support me, I do have some merch. This one that I have pinned here is actually a t-shirt that my wife designed, which I think is pretty cool. Another announcement is, that's actually all the announcements we have. So thank you everyone for coming. But if you have any Korean questions, feel free to stick around. That's what we do for the next 10, 15 minutes or so. I'll take Korean questions starting now. Well, after I take a sip of my drink. Oh, that's sour. Okay, starting now. A TLDR explanation, por favor. The too long didn't read explanation is too little, but I did do a difference between A and uro at the beginning of the lesson. So I recommend rewatching that. Gaji has a few other meanings, but the literal meaning of gaji is up until. Like when you think of gaji, imagine like a brick wall and going up to the brick wall. Not smashing into it, but going right up to that wall and stopping. That's what gaji means. So it's used that way for literally for locations, like I went up to someplace, but no farther. Like I went as far as there. I went all the way down to there. And so we would say that in English, like I went down to, in that sort of meaning, but no farther. Like all the way down there. 거기까지, like that. 부산까지, like I went all the way down to Busan, like that sort of meaning. It emphasizes that that's as far as you went. Whereas you could have gone farther maybe, but you didn't. That's where you went to. It's also used with time to say up until a certain time, but no farther than that. So like I have to finish this. 이거 내일까지 제출해야 돼요. Like I have to submit or whatever. I have to do something. 해야 돼요. I have to do it. Let's just keep it simple. I have to do something by tomorrow. 내일까지 해야 돼요. So I have to do it up until tomorrow, but not after tomorrow. So once it's tomorrow, that's the brick wall. That's the too long didn't read explanation of 가지. Check the chat here. Okay. Whoa. I just saw that. Okay, good timing. I would have missed it if I had looked at the chat once more. I wouldn't have seen it for another minute or so. Wow, Sarah. Is this 1, 2, 3? This might be the most. And hold on. We got to do these individually. We got to take these one at a time. Okay, Cheryl, you're gonna have to wait. You're gonna have to wait a second, okay? With your $60 donation, we got to take care of Sarah first. Sarah, thank you so much. Let's read your comment. I've been spending a lot of time studying recently between your live streams and videos, Oh yeah, the Bangtan Academy courses. I really appreciate your time. Thanks so much and enjoyed. Yeah, thank you so much, Sarah. That's so kind of you. Wow. Cheryl S. I think this is the most large donations I've ever gotten in a stream. Like, not the largest single donation, but the most large ones I've gotten. Thank you so much. And let's check Cheryl's 60. Wow. I hope you have a wonderful trip. Good weather. Yeah, it's going to be hot. Use sunscreen to avoid sunburn. I definitely will. I got sunburned the last time I was in Korea during this time. And it gets quite hot. And we'll see you when you get back. Thank you all for your hard work. Thank you so much. And then another one just came in. Kamun. Is it Kamun? Is that right? Kamun? Or is it like, come on, get over here. Okay. CA, I assume that's Canada, not California dollars. California dollars are a bit, everything's expensive here, so they're a little bit lower value than other places. Just discovered your channel and just want to say that you're the best teacher I've had. Oh, that's nice. It's been difficult for me to stay motivated, but your videos have been so helpful and encouraging. Thank you so much. Have a safe trip. Thank you. Thank you all three of you. And I need to do, but first I need to get your name on the board. Make sure I can even see it. Yeah, it's getting toward the bottom of the list. We're going to run out of space pretty soon. I got to do a dab party for all three of you. I would do an individual one, but I want to make sure we still do some more Q&As. So let's just do, you know what? I know what we need to do. For 3 people, we had 3 awesome donations just now. Of course, from Sarah, Cheryl, and the person whose name I can't say, Kamun. Well, there's actually 2 H's. There we go. So let's just play 3 songs at once, right? Get them all taken care of. So let's do 3 songs at once. And here we go. Oh, probably sounded horrible. Oh, and Secretive, my mod. You don't have to. I should donate to you, Secretive. You're always in my streams helping moderate here. That's so kind of you. Thank you, Secretive. Wow. Gosh, guys, making me sad to leave. Maybe it's because it's my last stream for a few months. I will be back, I promise. I'm gonna be back in August, but yeah, I will be gone for a little bit. Okay, let's try to do a question. If I can get a question in the chat, something, any question you want to ask, give me questions. Question. Okay, Heather asks, can you use this grammar form to say what language something is in? Yes, that is exactly what you use it in. And if you try to make a sentence, I can tell you how it is. For example, if you want to say, I wrote it using English. 영어 is English, so you'd say 영어로 or 한국어로 in Korean or whatever language you want to use. And then you can do like 썼어요, like I wrote it, or 배웠어요, or 봤어요, I watched it in English, or something like that. Whatever you did using English. So we would say in English. 와, 오늘 빌리쌤 돈 벌었다. Yeah. I totally have enough to pay for like a quarter of my plane ticket, which is like awesome. It's insane because the tickets are super expensive. That actually is a quarter of my plane ticket. I think total, let's see what we have. Yeah, it will be. Wow. That's insane. 빌리쌤 부자네요. Yeah. Okay, I'll buy everyone lunch. Yes. Are you planning on making workbooks 2 and 3 anytime soon? Yara, I'm not going to say anything. But I'm not going to say anything about that. So right now I'll just say no to keep it simple. But I'll never say never. Why did 사람을 come before 옷으로 in one sample sentence? Because the reason is that the sentence order, there is a general sentence order for things in Korean, which is that you put whatever you're describing directly before whatever is talking about it. So like you would say, 사람을 판단하다, to judge a person, and then 옷으로, by their clothes. But here it's saying judging a person by their clothes. The emphasis is on a person. The emphasis is talking about a person versus something else. So it's saying 사람을 옷으로 판단하지 마세요. So don't judge by their clothes. 사람을. If you were to say 옷으로 사람을 판단하지 마세요, it would have the more feeling of, at the beginning of a sentence, it would be like saying, don't judge on their clothes, based on their clothes, a person. It has that extra feeling of what it is that you're emphasizing when you put it out of order. So because it's at the beginning of a sentence and not in the middle, it adds emphasis to it. Like, for example, some things are always emphasized in that way, like dates or times of doing something. The person who does it is always going to be at the beginning of a sentence too, as well. But if you put anything out of order, it adds emphasis to it in Korean. And a lot of times you don't want that emphasis. It can make it sound awkward. But in this case, you do. You want to say, don't judge a person by their clothes, not don't judge a person by their clothes, I guess, if that makes sense. Okay. Is it natural to use multiple 으로 to specify multiple objects that are being used? Jordy asks, what is that? Suddenly became William Shatner there for a second. Jordy asks a good Korean question, and I would like to answer that. It wouldn't be natural because you wouldn't need to use multiple ones. But if you can think of like a long sentence, a run-on sentence that has multiple verbs, then it's fine. Like I did this with this, and I did this using that, and this using that. Then yes, that's fine. But normally you're not going to need multiple. If you want to connect and say, like for example, I wrote an essay using a pen and a computer. Why did I write that really tiny? You only need one. 컴퓨터와 펜으로. So using a computer and a pen, 으로. You wouldn't say 컴퓨터로, 펜으로, 컴퓨터로와 펜으로. You just need to connect, you just need the particle at the end of whatever you're doing. And if you had to do multiple, like this, and I also did this with this and this, then yeah, you would use another one for that. But I don't know if you do anything using a computer and a pen. It's kind of a strange combination. Sounds like something MacGyver would use. Maybe like he built like a, I don't know, like a, what do you call those things? The thing where you like throw it over a building and like pull it up, that like Batman always uses. Anyway, or like maybe say like a boomerang. He built a boomerang out of like a computer and a pen. I don't know. But yeah, that was a bad example, but hopefully that still makes sense. I'm going to miss you so much that you make Korean so much easier. Thank you. Yeah, well, like I said, I'll be back. It's not a permanent suspension. It's not any suspension. It's not a permanent absence. I'll be back. Okay. Yeah, please ask any other questions you have. I'm going to stay here for another 10 minutes. Je vois ça, j'essaie de t'aider. Okay, I help you. I'm not sure if you're talking to me. I saw that. Which number is more useful in Korea, Sino or pure? You need both. Neither is more useful. Paper and pen is more natural. Yes, I agree, Stella. Probably like 종이와 pen. 종이와 펜으로 에세이를 썼어요. I wrote an essay using a paper and pen. Okay. It's a little more natural. He'll be back when we're all C2 level. Yes. This question is about an example you gave in this lesson. 두 분은 콩으로 만들어요. 두 분은 콩으로 만들게 해요. The second one, if you say 만들게 해요, the 게 하다 form is a completely unrelated form. That means to let something happen, to force something to happen. So that would mean like I forced someone to make tofu. Well, it wouldn't make sense because you have tofu as the subject. So tofu is something that you forced someone to make using bean is what it would mean. It wouldn't make any sense to use the ke hada version at the end. And I have, if you're wondering what that form means, I do have several videos. In fact, I would just recommend my simple Learn Korean video about it, just to get the gist of it. It's an older video I made about how to say make and let, and that's in there. If not, if you want more, I did a full live stream about what's called causative verbs. That would be part of the lesson. But that little translates as to make someone do something, but it doesn't just mean to make, as in 만들다. It means to force, like to allow, to cause someone to do something. Hold on. Alejandra says, Billy, I just want to tell you, I won a scholarship to study 1 year Korean and my master's in Korea. And I'll be going in August. Really? You got a scholarship. Wow. How did you win that? That's awesome. Fatima asks, good question. What is the difference between 뛰다 and 달리다? I knew someone would ask that as soon as I wrote it up. I'm prepared. If you're talking about just running, like, okay, really quick answer. Which one should I use if I want to say I ran? 뛰다 is more commonly used. 달리다 has more of a slightly more of a standard feeling to it. 뛰다 has a little bit more of a conversational feel to it. So if you're only wondering about the difference between these, meaning to run, use 뛰다 if you're just speaking. Use 달리다 if you want to write something in an essay. But you could actually use this one in an essay too. It just has a different feeling to it. But there is a difference in actual meaning because 달리다 only means to run. The end, moving your feet quickly to go to a location. That's 달리다. That's it. 뛰다, however, has two additional meanings. It can mean to jump or to fly. Now, typically it's not the one you're going to use for to fly, but technically it can in some situations. To keep it simple, 뛰다 can also mean to jump. So if you wanted to tell someone to jump, 뛰어. 뛰고 있어요. Like maybe someone's jumping. 뛰고 있어요. He's jumping. 뛰다 can be used to mean to jump, whereas 달리다 cannot. So if you want to make it extra clear, you're just talking about running, 달리다. Otherwise, 뛰다 also means to run. So that's the difference. And we can go into it a little bit more, but that's basically how it works. Okay. Let's see here. Alejandra, thank you. It's the GKS scholarship. Korean government to help students in most... Wow, that's cool. I didn't know that they had a scholarship for that. That's awesome that you got that. Billy, there are some questions about the use of 서. Don't you have videos on the different ways to use that? Yes, I do. But it depends which meaning they're talking about, because there are actually more than just a few 서. It depends which one they're talking about. If they're talking about the most common one, meaning because, but there are a lot more than that. I have discussed the majority of them, but not all of them. Okay, let's see here. Zonmi says, did you ever get the pack of erasers? Yes, I did. I never said that. I eventually got those erasers. This was like, I don't know, a year and a half ago or something. I had ordered some erasers and they were supposed to be delivered in like a couple months and then they disappeared. I ended up getting them another 2 months after that. Randomly, I checked my mailbox and it was stuffed. There's like this giant package in it. I'm like, I'd already gotten a refund because it was like way late. It was already like a month after I should have gotten it. And another month or so goes on, and I finally get this big thing stuck in my mailbox. Pulled it out, it's like, ugh, and it's filled with all these erasers. So yeah, I still have plenty of erasers because of that order, actually. This is one of them. I just switched this new eraser for today. They are a little bit expensive, so every single time I switch, and I do switch about once a week, these are $1. The markers are also maybe, I don't know, a little less than $1 each or something. I usually switch these every 3 weeks. So yeah, but these are pretty cheap. I mean, they last like a week or so. Okay, I'll take a few more questions just for 5 more minutes. Which go first, adverbs or location? That's not really a question because it could depend on what you're trying to say. But in general, if you just want like a quick answer, location is going to go first. And then adverb will go after because adverb has to go close to the verb no matter what. Now you can change the order, but you're going to be changing the nuance of the sentence by doing that. You're going to be adding emphasis where you probably don't want to. So if you want the most natural standard sentence, the location is going to go first before that. Okay, another question. Are you going to upload your vlogs of Korean trip? Yes, I will be doing, I don't do vlogs so much. I've done a few before, but usually I do like collab videos or videos like on a topic or something. I haven't picked out all the videos I'm going to do yet, but if you have any topics you'd really like to see, please leave a suggestion. I was wondering if the sol you used in the examples earlier, like walking, is the same as because. No, it is not. The sol is a different form, and I believe I did teach that in a live stream before, but it is a... What's a good way to describe it really quick? It is the sol form that shows something happening after something else that is related to it. So something that's directly related to something happening. And yes, I have taught it before in a live stream, as well as a couple other videos have it. There are some, okay, Ad Marco asks, there are some instances where sol is removed in mid-sentence. You'd have to give me an example. But most of the time, sol is actually optional in formal, although it's often used in speech with these kind of uses. In writing, you might see it removed a lot, and in which case it's optional. Removing it actually gives writing a little bit more of a formal, bookish feel, if this is what you're asking. But it's not, every sol is not the same. So anytime you see sol, you can't just remove it. It doesn't work like that. But in this specific case, if you're talking about that, it's actually optional in writing, and it has more of a bookish feel if you remove it. I don't recommend removing it though. I think it makes the sentences sound a bit too awkward, like they're like official sentences, less of a natural spoken sentence. Victoria asks, I actually did that lesson last Sunday, so check out my live stream playlist on my channel. I taught both of those live in the last lesson. It was all about how to say or. Okay, let's see. Kamoon asks, how long did it take for you to learn Korean? There is no real answer to that because I'm still learning Korean. So 16 years? I was able to speak some Korean my first day that I was studying. You know, I could say a couple words. So one day, I felt pretty confident that I could say most of what I wanted, but not in any way I wanted. After about 4 or 5 months or so, around then, I started feeling like, I can say most of what I want, but yeah, not in the way I wanted to. And I didn't have a big vocabulary. I started feeling kind of comfortable speaking Korean, like, okay, I can do this after about a year or so. I started feeling like confident when I speak Korean, like I feel like I know what I'm doing after maybe like 9 years, 10 years of studying. Yeah, there's different milestones. So there isn't really an answer to that. And again, this was me in my environment that I was in, learning in my methods, in that environment at that time with those people. It's not going to be the same for any two people. So you can't really compare or ask someone how long it takes to learn Korean. There is no answer to that. Anyone who gives you an answer to that doesn't know what they're talking about, or they're only talking about themselves. I don't mean that they don't know what they're talking about for themselves, but you can't apply that to other people because that's not how learning language works. And especially that's not how learning Korean works. I've seen people who have studied Korean for years that still can't have basic conversations. And it might be because of their environment, the way they're studying. It could be them. And I've seen people who've studied Korean just for a few months and can have full conversations. And also in that case, it might be that they're using special methods to studying, or it's just them, they're really, really good at learning languages. I am just a regular person at learning languages. I have no talent for learning languages, I found. I used to think I did when I was studying Japanese. I realized I don't. I'm pretty normal, and I know lots of people that learn much faster than me and much better. My skill is that I can explain Korean well. I'm very knowledgeable, but that doesn't mean that you need as long as I did to learn Korean. You can learn Korean quite fast, and it just depends on how you're studying, what you're using to study, how much you're studying, are you practicing, and your age, your environment, all that stuff kind of goes into play as well. Chocolate Banana, I think I already answered one of your questions. I'm not sure, maybe not. Can you pronounce ro, ru, o, o, or is the difference? Just the two different vowels, ro, ru. I would like to know, how do I connect more than 2 or 3 things? You'll have to be a little more specific than that. If you just mean nouns, then I check out my live stream about how to say and. I'm not sure if I have a live stream about that. I have videos about how to say and, definitely. It's a wrong spelling, a slangy version of 좋은 밤. Sometimes you might see, jokingly, people write it like this, because that's how you pronounce it, due to general, not sound change rules, but the way that people pronounce words. This letter gets left off whenever it can. Whenever it can disappear, it kind of quietly goes away. If it's not at the beginning of the word, then it kind of like dissolves into the background. It's like, okay, bye. It doesn't want to be in class. It always wants to hide in the back. So it goes away most of the time when you're actually speaking. So this becomes pronounced as 좋은, 좋은. Actually, there is a sound change rule as well for this, but that's in addition to what it normally does anyway. So it gets pronounced as 좋은. So some people might write 좋은. But if they want, but then there's a problem because without saying anything, this can be construed as a bad word if it's used in a wrong combination. So they might want to do jon to make it more like it's definitely not that word, to make it like, to combine it with something like this. So that's kind of how it works. Okay. That's me. I'm so shy at speaking. I learn how to read fast through songs, but don't learn grammar from songs. Yeah, you can't learn too much from songs. That's the problem, because even if you did learn everything correct from a song, you're going to end up with wrong grammar, wrong vocabulary, wrong pronunciation, and you probably still wouldn't be able to sing. So that's really the biggest problem. I don't recommend learning from K-pop. K-pop is fun to listen to, but don't learn how to pronounce songs from K-pop either. Lots of songs have wrong pronunciation just to make it rhyme. Like rap is notorious for that. Korean hip-hop, a lot of it, they do that too. Regular songs, they'll pronounce things wrong just because it sounds fun. Okay, any other questions? Final questions. 으로 가다, 으로 오다에서 공부하다. Yeah, I see you're answering someone's question, asking about that. Yes. And again, like I said, just another two more minutes, then we'll stop. I just want to say thank you one more time while I can. Thank you again for everyone who donated, everyone who's here watching. You are also supporting me by being here. Thank you so much. Especially, though, to the members and people who have donated today. Gianna, Amanda, Kanjuan, Anna, Amanda, Iman, Riru. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm sorry. Tori, Tara, Lorenzo, Tani, Sarah, Cheryl, Kamun, and Secretive. Extra thanks to all of you. One more question, then we'll take off. Let's do a question from someone who hasn't asked one already. Any other last question? I'll take one more question. Oh, that is so sour. Okay. I've seen your videos. They help me a lot. I'm from Argentina. Oh, nice. Zomi, thank you so much for all the classes, Billy. Thank you for coming. You're talking like it's over. It's not over. It's just the beginning. No, it's just a break. But again, this is the 75th lesson in a row that I've been doing since the July of 2019. It's been nonstop until now. So almost 2 years with classes. So yeah, that's 74, 75 classes now. Okay, congrats everyone on a great live stream. Thank you again. Okay, I don't know. Yeah, maybe there's not any other questions. No problem. I was looking for a question if there's someone, some new thing that someone who hasn't already asked a question, just so I can take some questions from some new people. But if there's no other questions, oh, we could do that. We'll do that. Sukivir Cow, I can't say your name. Koma wo yo, not koma wa yo. Koma wa yo is how they say it in Bukhan, and some people might say it like that as a joke, or just to be kind of cutesy. They might say it like that. Doesn't necessarily have to be that they're trying to sound like North Korean. They're just trying to sound cutesy. Koma wo yo, due to the conjugation rules of how it works. Okay, yeah. Let's see. It's break away from us. He needs time away. No, it's not that. I actually don't want to take a break from it, but yeah, I just have to due to scheduling because I wouldn't be able to do live streams while I'm in Korea. It wouldn't work. The time would also be wrong. I'd have to wake up at 6 a.m. on Monday morning. I'd have to give up collabs that I can do in Korea. It wouldn't work out well. Okay. Anyway, thank you again, everyone, for coming. Thank you again to everyone who donated, and I will see all of you later this year in August. Thanks for coming. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.